Okay, welcome to the Nathaneal Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Stefan Katanic, the CEO and founder of Veza Digital, eight-figure agency that has become the go-to place for B2B SaaS companies to build, migrate, and scale their websites on Webflow. Welcome, Stefan.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Glad to be here. Finally, we get to catch up on a podcast. Over the last couple of months, we've been planning it, doing it, and finally we're here.
Yeah, quite excited because you're one of the people, I think one of the most underrated people on X. We've met again a couple of months ago, and your ideas struck me as something somewhat contrarian. And as you said in your lead magnet, it's unconventional ways. It's like lessons that agency owners don't normally talk about, which I do want to talk about right now because it's very interesting. So, what inspired you to write like the guide, the 1 million agency guide?
Yeah, so here's the thing about me. I was always under the radar because I remember early in my career, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go out and show people the way until I can do it for myself. And I was always self-conscious about putting content out there because I didn't do it myself. And so now I'm 32 years old. I've built Veza Digital into a global powerhouse of an agency for B2B SaaS. We work with hundreds of clients all around the world, and we've built something really good. And I'm at a stage now in my business where, we're buying other agencies, we're helping agencies scale, we're building essentially an agency network, and that for me is a big step. And so I decided, you know what, now is going to be the right time for me to put myself out there. I've achieved a lot in my career being in the space now for almost 10 years, and I think now is the best time to come out. And for me, launching that guide was essentially all of my thoughts, all of my experience consolidated into one quick guide for people to understand how to generate profits in an agency. People think it's as simple as, selling a service and then doing the actual work and then doing the invoicing, doing the billing, and then hiring other people to do that process. It's actually not. It's a lot easier than that, right? It's how I built Veza in the first couple of years was, we would go and we would sell the services are sold. We wouldn't actually do the work. We would white label other agencies who have a successful track record, case studies, good teams, processes to do the work so we can continue focusing on sales, because the traditional way is you go, you sell. When you sell, you got to do the work. So you're pausing sales. You're not focused 100% on lead generation, and you're actually going and doing the fulfillment, building processes, systems, how to fulfill the work. People don't care about that. People care about getting results. So we took a shortcut. We found agencies with results. We asked them for preferred agency to agency pricing. We resold their services under our brand. We added our margin on top, our commissions and whatnot, and we continued, and we only focus on front end sales and business development, which led us to the point of where we are today, where we're a global agency. We have a few million in revenue. We're growing very fast. We're going to be crossing 9 figures in top line revenue this first half of this year. We've made some successful acquisitions in the space, and so for us, we're in a scaling mode, but scaling our way, not scaling a traditional way where you scale your systems and processes. We're scaling our business development engine that we've always been so good at.
Wow. Yeah. That. Congratulations, by the way. First of all,
Thanks.
congratulations on that progress. But really, that was such a genius move. The white label thing. It's the first time I've ever heard it from you. I've seen it now, like ever since you mentioned it in your guide. Now I've been seeing it more often.
Yeah, we
But how did
started
you
actually. We started that business.
really?
We sold the official white label agency.co last year. So we actually built a service for agencies because we did it so well, where agencies can go and sell their white label service to other agencies. Then we sold that business because we wanted to go all in on Veza Digital.
Wow. Okay. So how did you come up with the white label? Like, was that how did you realize that we can just like focus on sales and like hire someone?
What's the question?
How did you find out like the white label strategy? Is that something that you
I figured
stumbled
it.
across?
I figured a lot of agencies are struggling. They want
Really?
sales. We
Yeah.
were always good at sales. So we said, hey, listen, we'll do your sales. You give us a commission. We'll add our commission on top of that, and we'll continue to grow that way. And so we did. And we sold white label agency. Now we launched Vezify.com, which is specifically a Webflow agency directory where we're listing Webflow agencies on there, and we're still selling Webflow websites and giving it to other Webflow agencies to bid on these projects, right? So we're still doing it, but we're doing it now more directly to the market than before. And my goal is really simple. Like I just want to show people that it's, a lot simpler than going and creating your own processes, focusing on delivery, and ultimately creating a glass cage around you, because that's what a lot of founders have done. They created a glass cage of what they're doing. They're doing a little bit of everything. They're focusing on systems, on like, SOPs and plugging people into these SOPs, but it's really not about that. It is to an extent, but it's more about focusing on the money in top line revenue.
Interesting. So, what made you go all in? You mentioned you were white label and then you went Veza. What made you go all in on Veza?
Look, I hit a glass ceiling about 2 years ago, and I was thinking about what's the next stage for us, because we've done a lot of good sales, we've done good marketing, we have good client retention, a good LTV to that. So I figured, look, if I want to take Veza to the next level, I have to focus on acquiring other good complementary services from agencies that are already crushing it out there. And so that's the next stage of where Veza's at, right? We want to grow. We're targeting a 90 million enterprise value in the next 2 years. And we realize to get that, it's going to take acquiring other agencies that have similar clientele as us, but also provide complementary services for us to tap into.
Right. So, and I know you teach that a lot, where you kind of like don't just do the website, you also do the SEOs and PPCs and all that.
Yeah, we build marketing websites. It's a very simple model. Very simple model, Nathaniel. We build marketing websites on Webflow. After we build these websites on Webflow, we then market them. We do the SEO, we do the advertisements, we do the demand generation, so that client can get a pipeline and start driving revenue and profits from that business asset, which is the marketing website.
Gotcha. So, we talked a little bit about Veza and how you built it. Now you're trying to help other agencies scale to 1 million. What do you think one of the things, or what are the biggest misconceptions of agencies trying to scale? What
That
are
they
their
got
biggest
to
misconceptions?
focus on, their biggest misconceptions is that they think that, it's a new year, okay, I'm going to focus more on sales, I'm going to increase my pricing, I'm going to offer new services. That's the way to go if you don't know what you're doing. You got to find that. It's the Pareto principle, or 80-20. You got to find
Mm,
in that 20%, where's that 4%? What is that 4% of activities that you have to do that's going to drive that revenue? Everything, once the money's in, you can figure out everything else. It's very easy to do. You're just going to focus on the sales and the biz dev part.
So really, it's all about kind of creating the sales so that you can create capital for you to then see what is it that we need to fix. Is that correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why
That's why
we
Mark Cuban said. Remember what Mark Cuban said? He's like, he has a quote. He said it a couple of years ago. I'm not really a fan of Mark Cuban, but he said this, and I found it interesting. He said that sales cures all. So any problem you have in your business, just focus on sales, and all the problems will be gone.
interesting. Is that something you think a lot of agency owners struggle to accept, or not really?
I talk to agency owners, but I talk to them now at later stages, in
Hmm.
similar stages as Veza. I can speak from their experience and what they've told me. Traditionally, they've been focusing on, top line, doing the outbound marketing, doing what everyone else is doing, and not really figuring out what their sweet spot is. Now, the agencies that I spoke to that have a sweet spot, it's been recently, the trend has been performance marketing. So companies focusing on the performance of what their advertisements are doing. So for example, I was speaking to a buddy of mine. He owns a fairly large agency. They do $15 million of top line revenue. I think 40% gross profit, then maybe 25% net profit. He told me, he's like, the moment he niched his services to be strictly demand generation via paid advertisements, he would charge 10 to 20% of the ad spend plus 10% of the actual sales that get generated. So it was a good incentive model. The client saw it as a no-brainer because, hey, we know exactly what this is going to cost us. That whole agency and their activity is one cost for us, and we see a return on investment. So that was his secret sauce, right? He didn't find the top 4%. He found the top 0.8% of like what's going to make his business really, really grow, right? And it's just about being self-aware. It's about taking your head from here on the laptop and looking beyond the horizon in the different opportunities, right? But a lot of people that I speak to that are a lot smaller than Veza, they're stuck in the day-to-day. They're focusing on, hey, let me do outbound, let me post content, let me do this. I'm not really here to like teach people. I'm just here to share my story. And if it resonates with people and if they want to learn, they can learn from my content. It's as simple as that. I'm not here to go and say, hey, go and buy my course and do this stuff. Like, I make my money from Veza Digital. I make a really good living from it. And I figure that I'm at that point in my life now where I should be documenting my journey.
Beautiful. All right. So you talking about sales, like that's the secret. Do you have like a secret sauce on sales? Any principles like step by step that you live by?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter if it's B2B sales or B2C sales, you should always know you're talking to a person, right? People will trust people. So you have to build that trust, that authority, that they have a problem, you're aware of that problem, and that you're the solution to that problem. So whenever I go on sales calls, I always want to spend the first 5 minutes just getting to know the person. Where are they from? What kind of basketball team they like? Who are these people as a person? And then from there, I try to understand their problem. They just talk. Sales is 80% listening, 20% doing the talking. And when you're talking, you're asking questions, very good questions to help you understand if you can actually help this person. You genuinely have to have a desire to help that person. And in our sales pitches, we focus a lot on customer experience. I know there's a competitor of ours where we beat them on deals 9 times out of 10, and I see their proposals from the client because I built such a good relationship with the client that the client, um, on their own accord, go and share the proposal from the competitor. So I see what they're doing. I know what they're doing. They're doing what everyone else is doing. They have no swagger when they go and deliver the message. And I hear how the sales calls go, and it's just very generic, right? Whereas us, we focus on the relationship, we focus on the customer experience, because when a customer is buying, a website for $60,000, $70,000, they want to have a good experience while buying that. It's like buying a luxury item. You go to a Gucci store, Louis Vuitton store, whatever it is. You want to have you want to sit down, you want to have a coffee, some cakes and cookies and
Water,
stuff
all that.
while your wife or girlfriend's shopping, because they know you're the one spending the money, not your wife or your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of experience people want. People want this kind of experience. And so you got to deliver it to them in a way that is meaningful to them. And there's a good book on this. It's by Joey Coleman, How to Never Lose a Customer Ever Again. I think that read is an essential read for any business that you're in, including yours.
Yeah. I have read that book, and yeah, it changed everything because especially for service-based business, right, where you're interacting with like people and you're handling clients, I feel like the customer experience becomes even more valuable than the service itself somewhat, because like if the customer is happy and fulfilling your promise, like everything takes care of itself.
Exactly.
So like that's one of the things I remember Jeff Bezos talked about as well, customer obsession. So um with is there ever been like an experience with you where you kind of like went against a customer or like struggled
Oh
with
yeah.
customer experience as well?
You just gotta have it back, right? Like, customers will try to take from you if they see that they can go over the scope, right? And this is like our account managers that are client facing, not me or our salespeople. So sometimes clients can be demanding, and there's a level of scope creep that you can accept. There's a level you can't accept, and depending on the context of the relationship, if you have an annual agreement, it's okay to go over scope because other months won't be as busy. So I think generally, even when a project's complete, I had a situation not so long ago where the client's like, hey, we got to finish this and do this. However, if you look at the project plan, they went so much over scope. They didn't know what they want. There were so many different change requests that it became an unprofitable project for us. And so we decided, you know what? We're going to stand up now. We're going to tell them that this is it. We're going to have to charge you for this extra work because there was many different points that were your team that didn't know what they want, or didn't have the knowledge to actually work with us and be at our level, because there was a lot of teaching and RN that we had to do. It didn't work out. So we have to charge you extra for this. And people usually understand, because a lot of the companies we work with, it's not really their money. It's OPM. OPM means other people's money. So like VC money, banks money, whatever, right? So they're more chill towards it.
Yeah, I also think that people who buy high ticket stuff are normally craving for a premium. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Like they
exactly.
kind of want upselling and all that,
Yeah,
like a Gucci
exactly.
bag.
Exactly. Right. Like, people want to get a good bag and they want a good experience with it.
Yeah. So one thing that you talked about in your guide is the difference between the lifestyle agency and the scaling agency.
Yeah.
How can you like talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the lifestyle agency is using your business to fund your life. The agency that is a professional agency is using your agency to take you levels up. It's out of your comfort zone. Your business changes. The way you have to see it is a professional agency. It's its own entity. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about me. It doesn't care about the founders, the team members. It just cares about its own success, right? And it just wants to rise and rise and rise and rise. And as it keeps rising, you have to make the best decision as a CEO and the founder or the senior leadership to make sure that that business is thriving, continually thriving and continually growing. And you have to be okay with the fact that one day it's going to evolve past you. It's going to leave you behind because you can't evolve with it. Where a lifestyle agency, it's very linear, right? It's not really something that you can grow because you're so comfortable in the day-to-day operations that you're okay doing one or two projects a quarter. You're okay with, keeping the same employees and not having, A and B players, but working with C and B players, right? Like it's a mental model that a lot of agency owners need to pass. And the only way to pass it is just taking a good look at yourself and saying, is there more that you want in life?
Gotcha. How did you decide there? Like if you would go lifestyle or scaling?
Well, for me, it was easy.
Why is that?
Like I had a good lifestyle anyways before, so like there wasn't
Mm,
much change. So I wanted to just keep upgrading it. I'm smart enough to like know how much I gotta get paid every single month to live a certain lifestyle. And then, there's some sacrifices you always have to make, which I've made to reduce how much I got every month and reinvest back into the business. So at a down the road, I can generate, three, four X more, 5X more. And I'm totally okay with that. I have a high risk appetite. So the high risk appetite is something that, you gotta have. Either you have it or you don't.
I see. What would your advice be to someone who's like in this lifestyle agency and they're having a good life, like they're good? What would you tell them on how to decide whether to scale?
So I'd ask
Yeah.
them if they're bored, right? Because if you're bored, what's the point of doing it? Sell it, get out of it.
So
Like, give it an agency that's going to take care of it, or like just leave.
have you ever met someone who was like content, who was not really bored?
Oh yeah, just
And
like
what they did, they just like kept on doing the agency for
yeah,
like a long
just
time.
kept doing it. It's like their life's work.
Gotcha. Like they didn't go to another venture or something.
I mean, they must really like doing it, right? Like you can't be long in the services industry because once you get to a certain scale, it starts to suck. It becomes mundane. It's very repetitive.
Yeah.
On the outside, it looks sexy, but it's actually not. It's actually, it can be boring. It can be daunting. It can be like, do I really want to do this? So unless you start growing and start feeling the change of how fast your business is growing with you in there, that's when it gets really fun and exciting. And for me now, it's fun and exciting. I enjoy the process.
Gotcha. And you did mention earlier as well that some people get trapped in their business. Like, can you talk more about that? Like being the trap.
People get trapped in their business because they revolve everything around them. And I'm guilty of this too in my past. Everything from operations to sales to onboarding. They felt like they had to have their hand in everything and micromanage. That is actually the biggest blocker for most people, right? You have to understand when to let go and let other people that are going to fuck up go and actually do take this away from you so you can focus on what really matters. If it's a lifestyle business, spending more time away from the business and on your life. If it's a professional business, focusing on your top 20% of activities that's going to generate all the revenue, the growth. That's what it comes down to. And so people create this glass box around them because they're doing everything. They don't want to delegate. They don't want to change. They feel like they have to do it all. But you actually don't. You just got to focus on what you're really good at. And you have to be very self-aware of what you're good at and what you want to keep doing.
Gotcha. Now I'm thinking about it. Like, because for me, I'd say that in terms of agency, I'm not really that good in sales. Now I'm thinking about it. Like, I mean, I'm decent at it. I can close a sale if I wanted to, but I actually am better at the writing because I'm a ghostwriter. I'm the better at the writing itself. Would you say like, what would you advise for me? Like, hire a sales rep or something?
No, I'd monetize the writing
Hmm.
to generate revenue for people and get a percentage of
Okay,
that revenue.
so kind of like look
Let
for
your
a
clients,
proven offer.
let your clients do the sales for their own brand, and you get a percentage off of your content that's adding to that.
Right. So I'm basically kind of like a booster guy only, not the business itself.
You're an agent of change. You're someone that's going to take a really daunting problem and that's producing
Mm,
content at scale and making it easier for someone, which is taking a lot of weight off of their shoulders so they can now focus on like the things that matter in the business. So you're helping take a weight off,
mm.
and that work that you're doing generates ROI, right? You should get a percentage of that ROI.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's the best model for you.
Having a, as this performance based, something like that, right?
Performance based. That is the number one model for you.
Gotcha.
Because once you start tasting the money, you don't want to work with a lot of clients. You work with like 3 or 4 clients, and that's
Yeah.
it. And then if that
Yeah.
company is a really serious professional company, you can get like some sort of equity or options or stock options. And then when they exit one day, and you're good to go. You don't have to overcomplicate things.
So have you had those clients already who are like, these clients are my staple clients,
Yeah, we have those. We have those.
and
They love
and
working with us.
and like for those clients, how much do they pay you, if you
It
don't mind?
depends. Like low to mid 5 figures a month is what they pay us.
Hmm.
We do everything for them: web management, web development, graphic design, SEO, content, all that jazz.
Gotcha. So now what I wanted to ask you is, when you were starting out, right, and you were still like scaling Veza into seven figures, what were like the habits that you implemented in your daily life that helped you massive?
I woke up and I got right to work right away. I didn't fuck around. So like for us men, like our testosterone peaks right in the morning when you wake up. That's when you have to go to work. Like that's a hack, right? You have so much free energy and free testosterone that you can apply to whatever you're doing. You'll get anything done. And then go to the gym, then do all this stuff. But like right in the
Mm,
morning, you should be getting right to work. That was the number one habit that changed my life completely. And like even now where I'm currently at in life, like I'm still banging out, 50 to 70 hour weeks. Like it's nothing. Even
right. So,
even even with me being where I am, like I'm still working like a horse, man.
and it's just
This
because
more
you enjoy it.
I enjoy it. Like this morning I woke up at 5. So I went from 5 a.m. Now it's 5 p.m. So I didn't get to work right away, but I got to work around like 6:30 this morning. Of course, you have breaks in between. You eat, you drink, you have coffee, whatever. You smoke a cigar, you chill. But like I'm probably gonna stay here in the office till like probably 8 o'clock, 8:30 tonight because I have more calls after this. And so for me, it's just it's normal. But I know what my mark is. I know exactly to the point where I'm taking this. So I'm okay sacrificing the next couple of years like I did in my previous years to unlock the next 50, 60 years of freedom.
And what part of the business itself do you enjoy the most right now?
Right now, working with our agencies,
Mm,
working with the acquisitions that we're making, planning out the next acquisitions, the deals, that's mostly where I spend my time. So I speak to our board, I speak to our advisors, I speak to senior leadership consistently. I speak to the agency founders that we're acquiring or merging with. I'm looking at how to roll this up effectively, working with our financiers as well. So it's constantly like that's what I'm doing. And then, of course, you have your occasional sales call that you have to be on because your sales team wants to bring you on board because they're bringing their CEO on board. So you want to meet the people. Structuring deals sometimes with the salespeople, I do a lot of that. But yeah, what I do, I mostly focus on growth now. I don't focus on anything operational. I don't focus on anything that is below not my pay grade, but like my capabilities because someone can either do it for me. And with AI here now, like AI is doing a lot of stuff here at Veza. We were one of the first to implement AI. We did this right when ChatGPT came out. When we were implementing AI into our business.
and what parts did you implement AI?
Account management, project management, onboarding, all that fun stuff.
Account management. How does that work? Like with the account management, what are the
So
process?
our account managers have memos and synopsis of what's happening with that client account. We know what to talk about. Our AI works in a sophisticated manner to get all that information based on data points from calls, from Slack messages, from emails, from our project management tool, and what the status of the project is and whatever the topic of conversation is. So before, account managers would have to go and research what's happening in the project, go through the project, go through client recordings, talk to team members. Now it's everything's augmented with AI.
And do you think that like in the future agencies would not exist anymore, or you think
I
it's
think
still
so. Yeah, I
people?
think AI is coming very quick. What I thought last year I had 3 or 4 years left. I think now I have like less than 2 years left. I'd say 18 months to 24 months left in the agency space, and then like we have AI agents working right now, 24/7, and it costs us less than $100 a month.
Yeah, pennies, right? And what would you advise to people who are still trying to like play that agency game then, if AI is coming?
I think there's a different way to twist it. You can start an AI agency where you build these AI models
Right.
for agencies, right? There's always a service to provide, my friend. It's the oldest trade in the book.
Yeah. You just
People
look for
are always going to want shit done, even when they want to get it automated, so they don't have to do the shit. Someone's gonna have to do the work. It's simple as that.
so right now, would you say that if you started like an agency right now, it would be more on the AI part?
I haven't even thought about that honestly. Like I've just been so focused on Veza and what we do that I only focus on that.
Okay, gotcha.
I think if I were to do this all over again,
Mm,
I would probably use a blend of performance marketing with demand generation, so with SEO and PPC, and
mm,
using AI somehow with all of that.
right. And I think it's easier to scale now since you don't need a lot of people. You
Yeah, I
can
mean, you don't
sell.
need a lot. You still need people for the foreseeable next 2 years. You still need people to operate the models. You still need people to like be the voice on sales calls. Like we're not at that point yet where AI is showing up on calls for me and talking for me. Be
Yeah,
nice, but we're not there just yet.
gotcha, gotcha. So, what's one thing that in your whole story did shock you a bit? Like, what was something that was very memorable?
Our first acquisition,
How'd that go?
it was good. It was a long process, but we did it right. And like for me, that was like I basically grew Veza by 30% without any organic, just from doing an acquisition.
Like your first acquisition in terms of like the agency, like M&A,
Yeah,
right?
buying another
Yeah,
company.
right. And how did
Actually, it was
that?
more than 30%. It was like 50% we grew just from that, and then organic on top of that, we grew by 90% in 1 year.
Damn, what was this?
This was in 2000 and late 2023,
So just like
2 years ago.
not yeah, 2 years ago. How did you decide like let's do M&A now? How'd that
I was
happen?
yeah, I was thinking about what's it going to take for me to take Veza to the next level. I
Mm,
realized that I needed more A players, people like
mm,
myself, and these A players are either scooped up by some big company making multiple six figures per year, or they started their own shop. Obviously, at the time we didn't have that big of a budget to hire people directly, so we said let's go aqua hire agency founders who can help us scale and take Veza to the next level, and that's what we did. So now I have other founders that have joined us in our vision and our mission to continue building, but within our agency network.
And where do you see like Veza going from now?
Well, we're still growing. We're now going up market where we're moving away from being a Webflow agency and a B2B
Mm,
SaaS marketing agency to being a B2B marketing agency. So offering different web CMSs, offering different advertising services, offering different types of SEO and content services, agnostic of whatever industry they're in. So we're completely moving up market now in a much bigger, way bigger space.
right. So you're no longer niching down.
No,
I know
we're
that
niching
that's
up
one of
now.
the tips.
We're
Right,
niching
right.
up, but you
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
do this right away because now you're
yeah.
competing with big players.
Yeah, that's one thing that you did say. One of the most important parts when you start Veza is first to niche down.
Yeah, in the beginning, you want to get super niche. You want to get to the point where you're going down to know exactly what service you're offering for who you're offering. But as you start becoming big in that market, you're a big fish in a small pond. Now, time to get into a lake and
Right.
start working your way up that way. And after B2B web design and B2B marketing, we're just going to be a web design and marketing agency, right? Like
For
you
everyone.
got to you got for everyone, for big companies, right? Like you get recognized, and that I realized that in order to do that, you need more capacity, you need more people, you need better people, you need more budget for marketing. So you got to grow, and you can't grow with your own money at this point. You got to start using OPM. You know what OPM means? OPM
No, what's
means
up, Pam?
other people's money.
All right, yeah, you
Yeah,
mentioned
like
earlier.
investors and financiers, banks, VCs, whatever. Because you can spend that money a lot easier without feeling, oh shit, we're spending our own money. Because when Bezel's doing like, 100, 200K per month back in the day, we're like, fuck, you got to spend 30K on this. It's like, it kind of
Yeah,
hurts. You can think
yeah,
about all
yeah.
the stuff, but this is what I mean. Like, this is the mentality where you got to change from lifestyle to a professional business.
So how did you get your first OPMs? Like, how did that work for out?
I know a lot of well-off people around the world that
Hmm.
I'm friends with, that I've done work with before, that know me. So early on, you just meet people, and then you find ways. Like there's many different providers online where you can get money, if not people. You just got to find the right channels.
Gotcha. Okay. Wanted to go back a little bit on the niche down part. You mentioned like you gotta be specific. How did you figure out that you were gonna go to B2B SaaS? Sorry.
Well, I saw how much money is being dumped into it from VCs and from blockchain to AI to Web3 to fintech, health tech. Everything is being digitized, right? And so I figured that we can create a service around that people are going to need. A lot of company founders that were our ICPs, early 30s, late 30s founders, they wanted to be in the latest tech for when it comes to their website. And so we realized that Webflow was the biggest player in the space. So we decided to launch a Webflow agency for these types of companies.
Gotcha. And when did you like now that you're scaling up, when did that idea that we're gonna do more come up? What was that? Did you hit a ceiling or?
Yeah, we hit ceilings. You get bored. You want to keep
Mm,
growing. You want to keep getting bigger and better until you get to a certain point where you have massive scale, where you can exit or start buying up other companies that have specialized services and keep growing that way.
gotcha, gotcha. And when do you think with the agency route, right? Do you think that it's something that people can do forever or the exit play is really?
You can't do the work forever.
Mm,
You can't do the operations forever. I think you're still dealing with customers, right? But it's always greener on the other side. When you get to software, you're stuck with your software. When you get to agencies, the benefit is you can work with a diverse amount of people, right? But then you're dealing with people's requirements and needs. It's really different. So I can't answer that accurately, but I think everyone has their own opinion on that, and they should just stick to whatever makes them happy. Because when you start building an agency at the level I'm at with Veza, it's different from like what most companies are doing. Once you pass $10 million of revenue on an annual basis and you have some funding and you have like acquisitions, it's different. You're putting the pieces together essentially. You're not worried about the service. You're not worried about like how the sales process is. You're not worried about like the account management, right? You're sure there's R&D that you have to invest into like to see how you can make something more efficient, but you don't need that until you have present day problems that cost you more than what this is earning you. Because some problems or should be left alone because the amount of cost it's going to be to fix that, there's not really a substantial return. We can use that money towards other areas of the business that can unlock that 20% zone that creates that 80% of revenue and growth.
right. So kind of just like focus on your strengths, basically.
You gotta double down on the strengths and just focus on that.
Gotcha, gotcha. So if you could sum up, like if someone was on X right now or on YouTube watching this, and you could sum up how they could go from zero to a million in like 3 to 5 steps, what would they do?
Find a micro niche that you can help dominate, whatever the industry is. Tapping into AI, because everyone's AI is hot right now in February 11th, 2025. People are looking for it. Offer services complementary to that, right? Setting up AI agents, for example. It's not hard to do. You just got to learn it. Setting that up for companies, I think there's a big opportunity there right now. I think people should get in, learn as much as possible about the AI industry and how it can be applied to different markets, and then go up this way.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right. And what would be the mistakes that you should avoid?
that's a hard question. Mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's about
Yeah. How about you? Like, what were the major mistakes that you experienced?
hiring the wrong people, hiring delivery people early on. Like I didn't need delivery
Mm,
people early on, right? Like I should have just went white label a year ahead of schedule, and I would have been 2 years ahead of my schedule right now, where I am today. So white labeling other
right.
agencies a lot sooner than later, because then you're going to save yourself a whole bunch of time more than anything else.
Right. And you mean hiring, meaning like working them, making them work full time, right? White labeling is just basically they do
Yeah,
the
you're
fulfillment.
you're
Right.
selling the project, and you're having that agency do the fulfillment.
Okay. So really hiring. Is there any, do you have any like tips on how to look for good hires, how to like test
Yeah,
people?
I hire now based on character, right? So understanding someone's character is very important for me.
And how do you find that character?
You just know from talking to people. You just realize like what they value. I usually ask people in interviews like, "Hey, so to see if they're a leader or not, I ask like, say, so who else are you bringing on board? I want to see if they know good people who are good as well that they can bring on board to the team and contribute.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, is there anything that you're planning to launch anytime soon? I know that you just launched Vezify.
Yeah, we just launched Vezify. That is our Webflow directory. So for any Webflow agencies that we know that we're vetted, that we resell services for, we've listed them on Vezify. It's good for clients to find agencies. Right now, there's a lot of Webflow agencies. I don't recommend starting one. And it's really difficult for clients to pick them out because they all look nice and shiny on the outside, but then when you actually start working, it gets kind of sticky. So our job is to basically pick the best that we've worked with, that we vetted, and provide clients whatever the best option is for them at the time based on what they're looking for.
Gotcha. And where can people find you to contact?
They can find me on X, Stefan Katanic, or on LinkedIn, Stefan Katanic.
All right, Stefan. Thanks for hopping in. It's a great conversation. Thank you so much for all that knowledge. I'll see
Thank
you
you.
around. Cheers.